What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. I am Jason. I am a photographer based in New Jersey. If this is the first time chiming in here, then say hello in the comments and consider subscribing. I'm just a photographer, and a dad and a husband who likes to take photos, and I primarily shoot with Fujifilm. So I just wanted to get that out there. And I want to say thanks to anyone who's been commenting and watching my videos. And in the past, I've been really trying to just, make this like a brain dump, a conversation with people who are just lovers of photography like myself, who happen to use Fujifilm in particular. So, so let's get into the discussion. So I've been a user of the X-H1 for quite some time. And I have a, love-hate relationship with it. It was actually the second Fujifilm camera that I bought after the X-T1. And I did a video about the X-T1 already. So if you want to check that out, go to my channel, take a listen to it and why it's my favorite camera ever. And so one of the things I wanted to get was, because X-T1 is photography centric for me. Don't use that for video. I wouldn't recommend anyone do. It's horrendous for that. It's not meant for that. It was a first generation or early generation Fuji camera, so really not meant for video. Great photography camera though. And then the X-H1 was the first X-H body, obviously. Now we have X-H2s out, the S version and the regular X-H2, which, getting a lot of talk right now. But, I was like, you know what? I haven't really talked to people about my X-H1 and what I've been doing with it. So I used the X-H1 for weddings, for events, for portraits, for food photography. And, it's great. To me, it doesn't get the love it should. And I can understand why. Because it's a departure from the XT series and the X Pro series. So it gives you a little bit, the bigger body. Like one of my reasons for going to Fuji in the first place was to get a smaller body, more compact, from coming from the Canon world, what I had those, at the 7D and the 5D Mark II. And this ultimately kind of went backwards in a way because it feels like a 7D shrunk a little bit. But I think that's a good thing because if you're a video-centric person, I'm not video-centric. I am definitely more photography-centric. And I think that's where when I mentioned love-hate, I'm going back to my photography-centric work more. And I really don't want to do video. That's a different, conversation altogether. But this was my reason for getting it, to really get the video, stuff down, because it had a great body for video. It's got a bigger grip. The battery grip adds, 2 extra batteries so you can shoot a little bit longer. And so, with photography, battery life to me, excuse me guys, I just had dinner. It was delicious, by the way. String beans and some sesame pork, homemade, not breaded, trying to do a healthy version. Anyway, so this, because you can add 2 extra batteries. And for photography, I don't mind switching batteries. I always keep a battery pack and a, big power brick, one of these big old power bricks, and a USB charger with a battery. I'm charging up now, actually. And, I always have like 2 sitting in a bag charging up. So when one battery dies, I got one ready to swap out and go. With video, it's not that simple because you're usually trying to take the action, things are happening. Battery goes a whole lot faster with video than it does for photography because you're shooting a frame per second, whereas you're shooting photography, you're shooting a frame a whole lot less per second, right? Because you're shooting at a time. So, video would eat up the battery a lot sooner. And so that's where this came into play. And it also dedicated because it has separate dials for the video. So you can move it strictly to a video function. And then it's got a tilt screen so you can get those angles. So this to me is more of a professional-ish, video-centric camera for that very reason, because of the screen. When it comes to personal work, the XS10 to me is better because, when I want to do videos for my family, for myself, etc., the flip out screen works better for me. But if I'm behind the camera for someone else, this one works better. Plus, like I said, I can add batteries and all that. Now, that's where, like I said, the hate comes into play, because now that I'm really moving back to more photography centric, this camera isn't really my preference. It's bigger and heavier. So when I do portrait work with someone, usually I'm just carrying a small sling bag, like in my past videos, check it out. And I usually only carry like 2 to 3 lenses, usually the f2 Fuji, versions. And maybe this, Viltrox 85, bokeh monster. But I like to have the smaller body. This one's a little bit bigger, and it's kind of giving me more than what I actually need. So, I've kind of been going with the smaller bodies instead. So it's kind of like sitting in limbo about whether I keep it or not. And also the value of it truly has plummeted. And so that's kind of where it lands. So at this point in time, I really don't know what am I going to do with it. So if you're an X-H1 user in 2022, what do you think of the X-H1? And, what's the future of it in comparison to, you're just photography centric guys out there, not for video, for photography. Do you really need IBIS? Is the body too big? Do you want to even use the grip half the time? Let me know your thoughts. All right. I'm checking out. Peace, y'all.